Hey friends, welcome back to CodeStart Academy. And in this tutorial, we're going to be learning about control flow. Now, what is control flow? Control flow is very important and one of the most important concepts in programming world, right? So control flow is just a conditional expression that checks if a condition is met and does something. And if the condition is not met, you can also program it to do something else. Okay, so let's take for instance, maybe at your front door you have a sensor that checks for the gender of a visitor. And so when a visitor comes in, it checks if it's a man, and if it's a man, it's going to say, welcome, Mr. And if it's a woman, it's going to say, welcome, Mrs. Right? That's just a simple control flow concept. So now let's get to see some of the control flow methods we have. Now we have about three, right? Basic ones. We have the if statement, the if else statement. We have the switch statements, and we have the loop, right? So, but in this tutorial, we're going to be focusing on the if statement, the switch statement, and the for loop, right? Okay, thank you. Let's get started. Let's first of all deal with the conditional statements. So we're going to do this, right? So I'm going to say let gender equal to, I'm going to say male, right? And then I would say if gender equal to male, I would say console the log welcome Mr. Right? And then let's see how this runs. And then I'll come here, let's run this code, open the live server, good, inspect, come here, console. So see, welcome Mr. So let me change this thing, right? Let me change this guy to female, right? And save. You'll see nothing is going to run here, right? But if I want to check and render a condition if it's female, I can then use the else if. Okay, I can say else if right, gender is equal to female. I can say here console the log welcome Mrs. Right? So at this point, I'll come here and say welcome Mrs. But if I change this into male, it's going to say welcome Mr. Right? So this is a very simple control flow statement using if. And then we have if it's a male, right, then it's going to say welcome Miss. If it's a female, it's going to say welcome Mrs. Now there are conditions where maybe the person, maybe the sensor could not detect if it's a male or a female. We're going to say else. If it's neither of them, right, that's if it does not meet any of the conditions, else say console the log not recognized, or not recognized, or whatever it is. Okay, then I come here and then say welcome Miss, because it's a male. When I change to female, it's going to say welcome Mrs. And if I change this thing to I can change this into not no identity, and then I say this, say not recognized. Or if I change it to whatever I want to change it to without apart from male and female, it's going to show me not recognized. Okay, so this is a very simple control flow statement. Okay, let's see another one. This is just an if statement. Let's try it with switch statement. And let's see how we can do for switch statement. So switch statement, this time around, I'm going to say, I'm going to create a variable. Let's another thing. Let's say let number value equal to, let's say, 10, and then I come here. I'm going to do switch statements. Switch statements. Now, what do I want to check for? I want to check for this value, so I'm going to put it here. I want to check for the number value. Okay, I'll check for the number value, and then when you have your switch statements, right, you open this, right, curly braces, and then it's now saying case. For which case? Right, I say case if, now let me explain this. You want to check, you want to evaluate this value here. So I'm saying if this value is what? Is 2, right? It's going to say console the log not correct, right? And I'm going to do something like break, then case, right? If this value is, so I'm comparing this, right, this guy, I'm saying if this guy is 2, if the value is 2, it should say not correct and break. If the value is 10, it should tell me what? It should tell me, remember to add this and say, it should tell me console the log correct, right? And then break. And then if nothing exists, that if this is neither correct nor correct, right, the default should give me a default of console.log should be console.log let me just say defaults, or let me just say default, or whatever it is, default value, right? So have this, and then when I come here and then let us run, save my code, you see, correct, because this is, because when I compare 10 with this guy, it's going to do this correct, right? And I'm sure you'll be asking so many questions because it looks a bit more complex than the if statements, right? So this case is just checking if this 2, right, is equal to this 10. You do this. Then you're going to be asking another question. What is the meaning of this break, right? This break is just saying once it gets the correct answer, it should not continue. So you see it stopped right here. So I'm going to change this thing to 2 and see what happens. I'm going to change this into 2 and see what happens. I'm going to say this correct and say not correct. And watch what happens, and then see, it's going to say correct. Now let me remove this break and see what happens. Or let me just comment it, right? It will continue to the next one until it gets it. You see, it's running all of them. It's giving us correct, and it's still continued. Do you see that? It's still giving us not correct. It's still continuing, but I want, as soon as it gets the right value, end it there, right? So that's why I have to put it back. So it gets correct and then does not continue to run again. So that's what the essence of this break here is. I hope it is very clear, right? I hope it's very clear. So this is a very simple switch statement. And then lastly, let's do the for loop. Now the for loop is when you have what's called, you have an array, right? So let's quickly create an array. So I'm going to select array, let me say array of names is equal to an array, and I'm going to say Michael, and another one I have have another one. I'm going to say Israel, right? Have this one, and then let's create a loop that runs through this guy. So, in a typical example of a loop is, for example, you have a class of students, and then as a teacher, you want to get the names of each student, and then you want to go through each student and ask them for their names. That's what a simple that's what we're trying to do, something like that. Okay, so this is like a class of students with their names here. We want to go through each of them and get their names, right? You say for. Now to write a for loop, you put your for, make sure you're using this for keyword, and then you open your parentheses, and then you say let I. Now watch what's going to happen. 0, good, and then you put this, and then you say, and while I is less than array, right, dot length, okay, and then do this, and then say I, and then it should iterate for each of them plus. I'm going to explain this, don't worry. And then we're going to say console.log, and then you come here, you see that it's console.log Michael, Gabriel, and Israel. I'm going to explain this now. What's all this thing? Number one, right? This let I, we're creating a variable, right? This I is saying we want to get the names of all these guys, right? Just watch. We want to get each item, right? I want to get each item. That's what this I is saying. Equal to 0 means I want to start from the first one. Remember I said that most programming languages, or all the programming languages I know, they are 0 index, which means they start from 0, right? So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. So please note this, it's not 1, 2, 3, it is 0, 1, 2. So this is saying I want to start from the 0 index, which means I want to start from the first one. Good. And this one is now saying I want to end that. This one is saying where do you want to start from? To start, iterating. This is saying where do you want to end at? What index do you want your iteration to end? Do you want to end at the last one? Do you want to end at the second to the last one? Do you want it to end at the 10th index? Just anything you want to want to specify here. And this saying how many counts do you want to go? Do you want to go through each student, or you want to go through the first student, skip another student, go to the third student, skip the fourth student, and go to the, do you want to do it by each step, or two steps, or three steps? You can include it here, right? Another way to do this is to do this way, right? I plus 1. So this is saying I want to go through each step. If you do this, you're saying I want to skip a step, right? I want to skip a step, then to the next step, skip another step to the next one, right? If you do this, it means I want to skip to 2 steps. So it means you get the first person, you skip 2 and 3, and you go to 4. You skip 4 and you go to 4. You skip 5 and 6. You go to 7, like that. So you can specify all this here. So let's use this one for our example that we want to use. But just know that when you do I++, it's the same thing with this. Okay. So look at it, and you see we're still getting the result here. So good. That's what it means. So here we're now saying I want to print out the array, right? Each of the item. The item starts from the first one, right? Ends at the last one. And of course, you'll be asking me, why this array length? So this array length is what we already discussed in the previous class. The array length will give you the length of the array, and this is going to give you 3. So why less than 3? Because this is 0, 1, 2. It means that the last one is usually the length of the array minus 1, actually. So the length of this array is 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. So it means we have 3 items in the array. But the last item in this array has an index of 2, right? So the index of the last item in the array is usually the length of the array minus 1. So that's how we came about this. So that's why I'm saying I is less than the length of the array. So I want to stop at I where it is less than what? It will count through, it will be checking for each item. If it is still less than what? The length of the array. And remember, this is 0. Is it less than 3? Yes, it will run. This is what? The first index, that's 1. Is it less than 3? It will run. This is 2. Is it less than 3? It will run. It will stop running at this point. Do you understand? It will stop running at the point where this index is less than the third index. Do you understand that? I hope that is clear. So this is going to happen. So watch. So if I add another one here, so let me add Raphael, right? And do this. So watch. See what happens. And then we have Raphael. So let me do this. Let me add minus 1. Guess what's going to happen? It's not going to show me Raphael again. So you come here, you see, it's not showing me Raphael again because at this point, the array's length is what? Is 4 minus 1, that's 3. So it's to check for condition where the I is less than 3. This I is 0, this is I is what? 1, this I is 2. So it's going to run from here to this point because this index is less than 3. But this particular index is 3, so it's not going to run because it does not meet this condition, right? And if I do this one, guess what's going to happen? It is going to start running from Gabriel, right? It is going to run only Gabriel and Israel. So if we go to look at the code, you see only Gabriel and Israel, right? Because why? It is starting from index where it is 1. And remember, this is 0, this is 1. So it's starting from here, right? That's the condition we gave it. And it's going to stop at where index is what? Is less than 3. Remember, this is 4. Array.length is 4 minus 1, 3. So it's going to say where the index is less than 3, and this is 0, 1, 2. So it's going to run only this one. It's not going to run this one because it does not meet this condition. So that's it. So lastly, let me remove this. Let me take this back to 0 and remove this minus 1. And let me put 2 here. So guess what is going to happen? It's going to start from the first one, right, which is the 0 index. Skip 1, it will count this one, and like that. So if I do this, it's going to only print Michael and Israel. It's going to jump Gabriel and Raphael. So we get Michael and Israel. So this is everything about. Sorry, this is everything you need to get started with control flow. Okay, there's still more. We have the while loop. We have the, do while loop and all of that. So, but I just want us to focus on these to get started, right? So that's about control flow. Thank you very much, and please, if you have any question, please don't forget to reach out in the comment section. I will respond there. And also remember that if you enjoy the video, and please do well to like and subscribe. And please, if you have any complaint or how this video can be made better, just also drop in the comment section. Thank you, I appreciate it. Have a blessed day. Bye. See you in the next video.